Today, Hawkmoon's made its debut in Destiny 2 to complete our set of the most iconic exotic hand cannons in Destiny's history. This time around though, it's a bit different. It's back with a more deterministic damage boost perk, random rolls for the first time on an exotic weapon ever in Destiny's history. I guess this is to maintain that random aspect of it that it once had in Destiny 1. And finally, some really thick stats. I mean, look at them. That's insane. And you can best bet the cones on this thing are just as thick. So let's get into it. Let's start by discussing the different perks you can get on this weapon because, like I said, this is the first exotic ever to have random rolls associated with it. The stock roll that you're going to get though is not too bad. It has corkscrew rifling, alloy magazine, and smooth grip, but unfortunately it doesn't have a trait perk. It kind of just tells you that future drops are going to have random rolls, which is pretty odd. Hawkmoon can roll with some incredibly good perks though. It actually rolls with different barrel options, trait perks, and even grip perks to modify the stats further. It has nearly every consistency associated perk that you'd want on a hand cannon. Opening shot, rangefinder, moving target, killing wind, snapshot, eye of the storm, hipfire grip, quick draw, and surplus are all available as trait perks on this weapon. As I mentioned though, it also gets all your usual barrel options, but it also does have some grip perks that modify the stats. We have combat grip that gives you plus 20 recoil, heavy grip for plus 10 recoil, minus 10 handling, polymer grip for plus 10 handling, smooth grip which gives it plus 5 handling, plus 5 stability, and textured grip which gives it plus 15 handling and minus 5 stability. Before we discuss what the god roll Hawkmoon is, we have to best understand the stats that we're working with first. The stock initial roll of Hawkmoon that you'll get has 61 range, 76 stability, 83 handling, 63 reload speed, 93 aim assist, of course 14 zoom, and 96 recoil direction with 8 bullets in the mag. And of course, just as it was in Destiny 1, it's also a 140 RPM hand cannon here in Destiny 2. I don't even know what to say about these stats other than, like I said, across the board, range, stability, handling, reload, aim assist, these are all insanely high stats relative to one another. According to LightGG, however, if we're gonna theorycraft some rolls, the base stats of this weapon are 57 range, 67 stability, 74 handling, 63 reload, 93 aim assist of course, and 96 recoil direction. To start theory crafting our god roll, let's eliminate some of the perks that aren't going to be the most useful on this weapon. Moving target's usually a good perk, but because this weapon already has an insane 93 aim assist and pairing a targeting mod with that would take that to 100, we don't really need that. Snapshot's good, but not the most significant because we have quick draw available. Eye of the Storm is nice, but again, not as good as maybe opening shot. Hipfire grip is not the most significant, and while surplus is cool, I don't think it's consistent enough. This leaves opening shot, rangefinder, killing wind, and quick draw as our main desirable trait perks, but of course that's going to differ based on how you want to be using the weapon, what you value, and the type of roll that you're trying to get. I think that inherently Hawkmoon feels like a better controller hand cannon than it does a mouse and keyboard hand cannon simply because its stability is so high. And on mouse and keyboard, not to say that stability doesn't matter, but it's less impactful on your recoil control and consistency. So mouse and keyboard players, I'm assuming, are going to want to get a max range version of this weapon. Not to say this isn't attractive for controller players either, especially shotgun players on any input method might really want to maximize on the range on this. And a max range roll of the Hawkmoon would look like full bore, smooth grip, or textured grip, plus opening shot or rangefinder. This will give the weapon a range stat of 72, a stability stat of 62 or 52 depending on the grip that you go with, and 84 handling, which is still pretty damn high. But if you're a sniper player or you want more of an all-around valued roll, you can go for extended barrel or small bore plus heavy grip and quick draw. This roll focuses more on the stability and recoil pattern of the weapon and less about the range of the weapon. And the reason why we're going for quick draw over opening shot and rangefinder is because a lot of the stability increases and recoil increases do take away handling. So the extended barrel roll would have 67 range, 77 stability, 100 handling from quick draw, and 100 recoil direction. Now, if you did not go for quick draw and you wanted rangefinder or opening shot, or maybe even killing wind, you would have 54 handling, which honestly isn't that terrible either, while maximizing on perfect recoil direction and some pretty good stability. Now, if you don't care so much about the recoil direction, and again, you want to go for small bore and sacrifice just those small 3 points of range for a lot higher stability, then you would actually have 64 range, 84 stability, and still 64 handling. So that's a very, very well-rounded roll, especially if you add on opening shot or rangefinder on that instead of quick draw. These are just a few rolls that I thought of, but as you can tell, Hawkmoon is truly the jack of all trades. There is a version of this weapon for nearly every type of player, and because it has such insane stats to go along with probably the best perks you can get on a hand cannon in the game, yeah, this is pretty much at the very least the best and most versatile vanilla hand cannon available in the game that also won't be sunset. If you're a shotgunner on mouse and keyboard, I very much recommend you go for the max range roll of this weapon, or if I guess you're a shotgun player on controller that doesn't mind the hit to stability and believes you can control the recoil well. But I do recommend more for controller players that they go for the more all-around roll that goes for small bore, heavy grip, and either opening shot or rangefinder. For the sniper players, I definitely think that you should be maximizing on range if you're on M&K and adding on quick draw with that. And for the controller snipers, I recommend the extended barrel heavy grip quick draw roll. Let's finally talk about this weapon's new exotic perk that's more deterministic, but honestly I have to say I think this is the least exciting part of this weapon. The perk's called Paracausal Shot. Final blows and precision hits with Hawkmoon grant stacks of paracausal charge. The final round of the magazine deals bonus damage based on the number of stacks. Stowing Hawkmoon on the final round removes that bonus. I think this is pretty straightforward. Hitting headshots with Hawkmoon gives you stacks, and when you get to that final bullet in your magazine, you get a damage boost based on your stacks. However, stowing it, of course, on that final round doesn't matter about the other stacks that you're getting while you're building up, but stowing the weapon on that final round will remove that bonus damage. For some quick stats on the damage buffs that you are going to be getting, I'll have that on screen right now. The important things are to know that at 1 stack you can 2 crit 1 body, at 2 stacks you can 1 crit 2 body, 1 resilience, and 2 crit 1 body otherwise. At 3 stacks you can 1 crit 2 body up until 9 resilience, and with 4 stacks you can 1 crit 2 body any resilience, also the same with 5 stacks, but at 6 stacks you can actually 1 tap someone to the head, and finally at 7 stacks, the highest amount, you can 1 tap to the body and even 1 tap a super in the head, depending on the super, of course. The range damage drop off on Hawkmoon for our initial roll that we receive is 31 meters, so of course expect more than that if you spec into range and a little less if you forgo range. As much as the damage boost is cool, I don't really see this happening in practice a lot of the time, especially against a good team. It's nice that you can play very non-committal and just peg headshots and eventually perhaps get a really high damage shot, but I don't think this is going to really be making the difference a lot of the time, and it's very, very niche. That being said, while using this weapon, it is a tool at your disposal, so I recommend trying to use it or at least be aware that you might have it. The exotic perk isn't what gets me excited about this weapon, it's about its insane stat package and how crazy effective and consistent it makes this weapon, and probably the best feeling hand cannon I've used on controller other than, of course, the precision archetype. Hawkmoon has decent but good enough competitive range, insanely high handling, and crazy high aim assist, and of course this is the trifecta of the cones. 61 range is good enough to maintain the weapon's damage drop off and still keep good accuracy. But we have to remember, the accuracy can still be boosted by helmet targeting perks, so the range stat isn't quite as important for accuracy, specifically because it's not low to begin with, and we can boost the accuracy further. The stability stat and the aim assist stat combination is what's truly incredible about this hand cannon, and that's because stability and aim assist work together, just like range and accuracy do. Aim assist is the size of your aim assist cone, and 93 is nearly the largest it can get on a hand cannon. And when you add on a targeting mod, it goes to 100. But sure, that's cool for the first couple shots, but what really gets interesting, and you can feel it with this weapon, is the stability stat maintaining the size of the aim assist cone. The higher stability stat you have on a weapon, the larger the aim assist cone is going to remain while you fire, because typically when you start shooting a weapon, the aim assist cone cone shrinks as you shoot at its max rate of fire, and the stability stat is what's responsible for stopping it from shrinking and staying larger. When you have a very high aim assist stat with a very high stability stat and a still competitive range stat like we have on the Hawkmoon, you get insane consistency. Not to mention the stability stat of course affects the recoil as well, and on controller typically hand cannon recoil is a bit on the more jarring side. For this hand cannon though, it feels buttery smooth and very stable, not jarring, and that allows you to stay on target better than hand cannons I've used in the past that just feel a lot more random. Unfortunately though, I don't think a lot of mouse and keyboard players are going to be as excited about this weapon. The exotic perk is very niche as I mentioned, and a lot of its best stats revolve around consistency on controller really. Not to say that stability doesn't matter on mouse and keyboard, it's just less of a necessity. The recoil on hand cannons has always really felt good on mouse and keyboard. I mean though, with stats like this, with the handling stats so high and a lot of top mouse and keyboard players really value that, and some random rolls that won't be sunset, I'm sure this will solidify itself as one of the best options, but it'll be another great option for mouse and keyboard players, whereas I think for a controller, this might rise up to be the best. Anyways, that's enough of my ramblings on Hawkmoon. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you found it useful. And if you did, I'd appreciate if you consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, as it does help me work towards my goal of 100,000 subscribers. And while I'm plugging, if you'd like to check out my Twitch, you can do so. Link is in the description. Twitch.tv/Drewskys if you'd like to hang out and talk Destiny with me. As always though, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.